Let's start with this story right here. So I think probably everybody has seen this video because this video, I think it has like 100 million views across the internet. I have not watched the full interaction of this conversation, so I'm very curious to watch the full interaction of this conversation. But essentially what took place is Mel Gibson, he said some comments about the fires in California. As you know, Mel Gibson, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast as his house was burning down. And he's essentially insinuating that this may have been intentional on the part of California. And honestly, the more that I look into it, and I'm going to show you a little bit more of what I looked into, but the more that I look into it, the harder it is to believe that this was an accident. I'm just going to keep it like that. All right. So let's get into this video. And then we have some more clips and we'll have a extended conversation about these fires. All right.
Joining us now, actor and Academy Award-winning director Mel Gibson, an old friend, a Malibu resident who tragically just lost his home to the Palisades fire. Mel, I was thinking about you when I saw this fire break out. I think I talked to Raymond. I said, is Mel okay? Is his family okay? I instantly thought of you. He said he thought you were okay. And I'm glad you got out. I'm glad your family is safe. But tell us what it was like to be on Rogan's podcast when I guess you learned that your home had been lost.
Well, I didn't learn it was lost. I knew the neighborhood was on fire, then I was in the path. So I was a little tense while I talked to Joe, but he's a guy that can put you at your ease fairly well. So I was doing okay. And I knew that my family was safe and out of harm's way.
Were you able to get possessions? Of course, they're really immaterial when you have your family, but I've been to your house. It was an incredible home, beautiful home. But were you able to get anything out of your house?
Not much. A few necessary things. You know, my son I said, just go and grab this and this and this. And he grabbed like 3 things and took off. And then, you know, those are okay. Stuff like passports and a couple of papers and stuff like that. But by and large, everything was just, it looked, when I got there the other day, I went up there yesterday, it looked like Dresden, you know, after Bomber Harris got through with it. Yeah.
Mel,
so nothing left.
For those of us watching this from afar, try to convey to us the feeling of seeing your home, your neighbors' homes, and the community there at such a loss.
I mean, it's tragic. It makes you really sad. I was actually, you know, there are neighbors I have that I was actually looking at them. I felt worse for them than I did for myself. You know, I look at it as a strange mixture of sadness and almost kind of an elation in a sense that I count my blessings, you know, no matter what. These are things, and they may or may not be replaceable, but they're only things, and we're still here, and I just kind of look at it as almost in a weird kind of way a purification but of course it's very sad, and there were many things, you know, gone in the blaze that you know, I've thought about since. I thought, oh damn, you know, that's too bad. But you know, works of art, photographs, rare books, you know, old books, some as old as, you know, 1600, you know, it's like crazy.
Irreplaceable.
And irreplaceable stuff, yeah. So it is what it is, I guess. It was only a month ago that the flames threatened us, you know, 200 meters away on the other side. And of course the wind shifted and came in and whipped and got us from the other direction. So it was an interesting...
You've heard the...
Go on.
You know, both... You know, you've heard a lot of people say a lot of things about these fires. Obviously, the winds were horrific, but they were predicted. I know you know that last weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they said this could be tragic with these winds if any fire starts.
Sure.
Do you believe in what you know so far, anything could have happened like this?
First things first, that's a massive house. If you got 4 AC units, your house is huge. I'm just making observations. That's beside the point. But yeah, the winds were predicted. California has fires, and this is not anything new. Like, the city officials know that California is at risk to have fires. The mayor cut the budget by like, I don't know the exact number, but it's tens of millions of dollars that the mayor cut the budget by. The fire chief was actively saying and vocal that they needed more support, not less support. This is before the fires. She was saying that they needed more support. She was saying that the amount of calls that the fire department had going into the fire increased exponentially by anywhere, I forget the exact number. It's like anywhere from like 15 to 35% the amount of calls, if not more. So there was a heavy strain on the fire department, and they were down like 65 firefighters. And this is a lot of the reason why they're using these inmates, and they're paying them essentially like $2.50 a day, $2.50 a day, or something wild like that, in order to help them. But all the preventative measures that could have been in place were suddenly stripped. On top of that, the highest paid city official, can you guess who the highest paid city official is in Los Angeles? She's making $750,000. $750,000. And no, it's not the mayor. The highest paid city official in Los Angeles is in charge of the water. But somehow, with all that, and before she got that position, the previous individual who was in charge of the water was making $400,000. That's a lot of money as well. But to get a $350,000 raise and still be incompetent, to not have enough water in the reserves, to not have enough water pressure to feed to the fire hydrants, knowing that you're in a fire risk of an extremely high risk fire environment, it raises a lot of questions. And also, you do have the Olympics right around the corner that's going to be hosted in LA. It's so crazy to me because it's like, I don't understand why California is encouraging people to leave. Like, you have so many people who are exiting California. This has been a thing for a lot of years. A lot of people have been waking up and saying like, yo, yeah, it's beautiful, but guess what? It's not worth it. And so many people are leaving California. A lot of tax revenue is leaving California. A lot of major corporations, Facebook just announced, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but Facebook is taking a percentage of their operations. Essentially, I think it's all of their California-based operations. And a lot of these individuals are in charge of like their content moderation. They're moving them out of California and they're going to Texas. It's some sketchy stuff going on.
Yeah, well, one always suspects that this might happen, but one thinks that the resources, and the capabilities of the men and women will be on standby, that they'll be able to cope with any situation that comes up. But apparently, some people were asleep on the job, mainly our leaders there. But that's something they have to live with, and but that's something that community has to live with. And it's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads, and kids, and they're traumatized. Someone should answer for it, but we'll see. I think we know who the culprits are. In fact, my son he's a member of the volunteer fire brigade. He sort of interfaces between LA County Fire and people, and they assist them where they can during, before, and after the blaze. And apparently the residents in Corral Canyon caught an arsonist up there. And the guy was all tooled up with fire gear and equipment and stuff like that and ready to go. And he had been lighting fires. But they corralled the guy in Corral Canyon and gave him to the police. So
yeah, apparently
there are people actively going around looking for these conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, Mel, that individual was never charged. It's a very confusing set of facts because apparently he was reportedly trying to light things on fire, but it's not the fires, I guess, that they. I mean, it all seems very bizarre. But they have not ruled out that arson could have started the first fire. There's obviously still investigating this, and at the same time, Mel, there are numerous complaints, as you alluded to, that the fire hydrants did not have water or water pressure, and the LA fire chief herself reacted. Watch this.
My stance on this is When a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants.
Mel, reaction to that?
Well, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be? I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Well, Mel, there's already talk, and we played a couple of sound bites of reimagining the way rebuilding occurs. And obviously there's a great need for high density housing in California and across the country. That's a big push by the climate folks. And you're already hearing rumblings of that. In this case, like goodbye single family homes, hello high density housing.
Yeah. It's pretty scary, and it'll take decades to do that too. It's like even if it if it's a good idea, which I don't know if it is, but reminds me of the old cattle barons clearing people off the land, But I don't know. I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions.
So he's suggesting that the people who are committing arson are potentially hired actors, which that thought entered my brain also. The crazy part to me is that the highest paid city official making $750,000 to be in charge of the water was in fact not managing the water. That's just your job description. Hey, you're in charge of the water. What does that mean? Just make sure there's water where there's supposed to be water. And you're going to get a check for $750,000. Oh, okay. I could do that. Like, I don't understand how she dropped the ball like that. But then I saw an interview that she did. The fire, not the fire, but the woman who's in charge of the water. Hold on. This is the woman who's in charge of the water right here. This is what she looks like. Hold on, I saved the video.
To think, but one begins to ponder.
Right here.
Well, an eye-popping salary for the new head of the LA Department of Water and Power, Janice Quiñones, will be paid an annual salary of $750,000. That's a sharp increase from her predecessor's salary, which was $435,000. This makes Quiñones the highest paid LA city official, even higher than LA Mayor Karen Bass.
She's the highest paid LA city official. She's the highest paid LA city official. The highest paid. Couldn't even do the basic job description. Couldn't even do the basics. I saw this clip of her speaking. Let me see if I can find it.
Distracted the state from preparing to fight it. The LA water chief, Janice Quiñones, who makes $750,000 a year, says her number one priority wasn't water.
You call it powered by equity, and I know that it's been really important for the DWP to put an equity lens on everything.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the number one thing that attracted me to this role. It's important to me that everything we do, it's with an equity lens and social justice and making sure that we right the wrongs that we've done in the past from an infrastructure perspective, and that we involve the community in that process. And this utility is serious about it, is authentic about it. And so I'm just super excited to be part of that movement.
It's about priorities. The water chief was focused on DEI. The mayor of LA, Karen Bass, was in Africa.
Listen, can we just can we just get the job done first? Can we just get the job done first? Make sure your job is complete. Make sure you are doing what you are supposed to be doing in your role for the betterment of the people who you are serving in your position while you're making $750,000 a year to not have water in the reserves. Specifically in the Palisades, the reserve was empty. It was swamp water in the Palisades. Is mind-blowing. It's truly mind-blowing. This is what the fire chief said.
For what we need to.
And a lot of people are getting on the fire chief. They're saying, I've heard some crazy statements that they've been making towards the fire chief. But they're talking about her sexuality and they're talking about this. But listen, all that stuff aside, she was kind of put in a position to fail regardless.
That is my job as the fire chief of the best fire department in the world.
In December, you wrote that memo. You said that these budget cuts were going to severely affect your department, from everything from brush clearance checks to make sure homeowners were doing what they needed to do, to fire hydrant checks. And yet you heard the mayor just yesterday say, no, those cuts did not affect the ability to serve and would not have changed anything in this situation. What is going through your mind? And I know this is difficult. There are a lot of politics at play. You are not a politician.
The mayor said the fire budget cuts would not have changed anything in this situation. The fire cuts would enable them to properly maintenance the fire hydrants. It would allow them to properly manage the brush, to clear out the brush so that the fire would have less of an opportunity to spread so rapidly throughout the brush. On top of that, it would give them more infrastructure in order to build out payroll to hire people because they're down on their hiring.
The woman responsible for all these men and women at LA City Fire and for our residents in the city of Los Angeles. When you hear the mayor say it didn't affect anything at all, what is going through your head? If you can share that with us.
Sure. So just full transparency. Again, my position is to make sure that our people get what they need to do their jobs, and also, mind you, that they get to go home to their families. The amount of calls that our firefighters are running today has doubled since 2010, a 55% increase with 68 less people. Full transparency, this isn't a new problem for us. Since the 3 years that I've been in the seat, I've sounded the alarm.
Hold on. 55% increase in the calls to the LAFD. 55% increase since 2010. And they're cutting budget. California, one of the largest local economies from a state standpoint, but yet they don't have enough resources to properly fund the fire department. They're choosing to cut the budget. They're choosing to cut the budget, further putting the state at risk for exactly what happened. Ain't nothing fishy going on here.
Say we need more. This is no longer sustainable. So with that, we're now in a position to be properly funded. We are screaming to be properly funded to make sure that our firefighters can do their jobs so that we can serve the community that we took an oath.
But when the representative of the city says the cuts that were made and signed did not affect the response to the fire that is being criticized, the response that is being criticized by so many people, what is going through your mind?
Yeah, just again, the full transparency of the documentation, of being able to sound the alarm.
Does it make you mad?
I don't know if it makes me mad. In the end, that is my job as a chief, to make sure that my voice is heard and my voice is amplified from the needs of what our...
She need to just say how she need to speak her mind. She need to tell it how it is. She need to expose these people, because it's starting to make me look like you with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they're incompetent. Why did they cut the budget? I don't know why, but they should not have done that. In fact, they should have increased it. She's trying to play it too political, but they definitely failed the city of LA and the other surrounding locations that were affected by the fires as well.
People need to do their job.
So tell the city, tell the residents, tell the people that are out there. I mean, thousands and thousands of people have lost their homes, and they're looking to blame someone, and it's not the Santa Ana winds necessarily.
Right.
They are looking to blame administrators.
Right.
What is the message here? And have you had a one-on-one with the Mayor Bass and said, hey, I told you so. I told you this was going to affect our ability to respond to a major emergency.
I would start with a message to the community. I think they already know in their hearts that our LAFD firefighters are here to serve them, first and foremost.
I wish you would have exposed a little more than that.
Neighborhoods wiped off the map. Homes reduced to piles of ash. Every day it gets more grim. And the death toll keeps rising. 24 are now confirmed dead, and many more still missing. Forecasters estimate the damage to be more than $250 billion. This would be costlier than Katrina. And the Palisades fires are still only just 13% contained. Wind gusts are predicted to kick up, and firefighters are bracing for explosive fire growth. This isn't over yet, and the looting isn't stopping. At least 29 fire looters have been arrested, including these 4 fiends caught in Santa Monica. One thief breaking into homes in Pacific Palisades was dressed as a fireman when he was apprehended. Nothing is sacred. Jewels, precious heirlooms. Even someone's Emmy was stolen. And remember the guy with the blowtorch last week who was lighting fire to Christmas trees and garbage cans? Turns out he was an illegal alien. His name's Juan. Bandits and arsonists are preying upon this devastated community while it's still smoldering. And residents are gripped by fear and rumors. Here's actress Whitney Cummings.
We saw that already. Newsom said something interesting. Let me pull it up. He was talking about reimagining LA 2.0. Let me pull it up. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that video.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup and then the Super Bowl and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic, that only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing it in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit, was helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those 3 iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan for the rebuilding of California. What is that Marshall Plan? Tell us about this Marshall Plan.
We're just starting to lay out. I mean, we're still fighting these fires. So we're already talking to city leaders. We're already talking to civic leaders. We're already talking to business leaders and nonprofits. We're talking to labor leaders. We're starting to organize how we can put together a collection of individuals on philanthropy for recovery, how we can organize the region, how we can make sure that we are seeking federal assistance for the Olympics more broadly, but also federal assistance for the recovery efforts, and how we can galvanize the community with folks that love this community to really develop a mindset so that at scale we're dealing with the scope of this tragedy and responding to it at scale with efficiency, like the executive order I talked about, time value of delivering projects, addressing building codes, addressing permitting issues, and moving forward to rebuilding and being more resilient.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
It's convenient. Reimagine LA 2.0. It's convenient. It's a tremendous opportunity for them to rebuild in the way that makes the most sense for them, in the way that is most profitable for them. It's very convenient. He almost seems more excited about organizing the rebuild as opposed to putting that same effort into organizing the prevention of it. You know what I mean? Also, Kamala Harris is from California. I think she has a home in LA. There was speculation that Kamala Harris was going to run for governor of California. I ain't really heard too much from her about this whole thing.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
He got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire? If there's a fire and somebody passes out from smoke exhaustion, I'm expecting the firefighter to carry him out. But maybe if the person who's passed out is trans and the firefighter is trans, then maybe the firefighter, the trans firefighter, just sprinkle a little bit of magic dust on them, and then they just wake up and be like, "Oh, you look like me," and then they just float out. I don't know I don't understand what the logic is. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's in Los Angeles. Oh, by the way.
Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. President, and also for the work that everyone...
Oh my gosh. What did he just say?
Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
She looks at him like, did you really just say that, Joe?
Thank you, Mr. President, and also for the work that everyone around this table has been doing.
Well, I guess she did talk about it. I missed it. Joe don't know how to just keep his chill. Like, just be cool, Joe. Like, it's just the comedic timing is lacking.
We've got to deal with this misinformation. There were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling. We've got to deal with this misinformation.
So Gavin Newsom is begging President Biden to address the misinformation around the wildfires. What are you asking him to do? You're asking him to go to the social media companies again? You just heard what Zuckerberg said. He said he would get calls from Biden's administration harassing and cussing out his employees for not censoring certain information. So what exactly are you asking him to do, Gavin? The people can't have conversation on the internet? We can't talk? We can't speak about the incompetence of your leadership? We can't speculate and imagine that there's some deeper stuff going on behind the scenes? And the fact that you want the information to be suppressed so bad, and the fact that you want the information labeled as misinformation so bad, makes it even more sketchy, in my opinion.
There were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling. We've got to deal.
I mean, if you are really concerned about the people, step number one, your $750,000 per year hotshot in charge of the water individual, make sure that they're putting some water in the hydrants. Step number two, don't defund the fire department. Make sure they have adequate funding, because this is a real risk in California. Step number three, stop looking so excited about Reimagine LA 2.0. I don't know.
I am standing here in the front of my house. I have been here for over 40-some years.
40-some.
But thank God I'm here. I will reveal better than ever. And I thank the Lord to be here, to be able to reveal. Yes. God is good. Yes, He is. All the time. All the time. All the time. All the time. And I thank you, Lord. Yes, indeed. We thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Yes, Lord. Yes. Lord, it hurts, but I know you got a plan, Lord. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
It looks like a completely different country. That's crazy. More damage from a monetary value. More damage than Katrina.
Do they just sell the lot and walk away?
That's the question. I think it's going to happen. This is my personal opinion. It's going to come down to age demographic. If you've been living in the Palisades or Malibu and you're, let's say, in your 80s, are you going to sit through permitting your house, which already is a nightmare, with Coastal Commission, all that kind of stuff? You're going to spend 9 months for permits, and then you're going to spend 2 years to build. By the time you're done, you're 85 years old. I don't think so. I think those people are going to buy very high-end condos and whatnot. Let's take people that are in their 30s and 40s. The question is, this is apocalyptic. Do you want, your house is gone, the Palisades looks like Mars, right? Do you want to start this process and build up again in the Palisades and start, seeing 1,000 lots and then all of a sudden these beautiful houses rebuilt? So are you moving to Brentwood or are you moving back to Beverly Hills? I think in terms of, this is too soon to tell, but the question, I think it's either way, it's sad to say, it's going to affect the real estate market in a positive way. I mean, rentals, in
other areas where people are going to try and buy.
Yeah, I looked yesterday. I mean, it's just, look, we're not trying, the facts are the facts. I looked yesterday, houses that were for rent sitting on the market for 6 months, all of a sudden yesterday there was a red arrow in the MLS, meaning the price went up. Because they're taking advantage of the fact that people need places to go. So the rental market's going to explode. And then for the people that are not going to want to sit there and rebuild for the next couple of years, they're going to buy a house. So all of a sudden these houses in Beverly Hills and even Brentwood, which wasn't really as affected, those houses are going to go up in value.
Sure. Okay. Understood. Now, you have some listings in Pacific Palisades.
So overall, a positive impact on the rental market in Los Angeles. Interesting.
Are those properties still standing?
No.
Your listings are no longer, because we saw them on your website.
They're gone. We might as well change it in the MLS from house to land. Who wants a single piece of land?
Okay. Have you talked to any of your clients? Or those
I mean,
clients?
well, first of
How
all,
are
right
they?
now I'm trying to move them into places right now. Right now I'm trying to get them into, I just literally sitting in the green room, I got a call from somebody that the house burnt down. We need something like right away. So I'm putting them into a house in Bel Air that I'm putting it on next week. So I'm going to put them in.
We're looking at your listings. Are these homes gone?
Well, most of these ones are some of these are gone, but these
Pacific Palisades. These are your Pacific Palisade listings that
some
we're
of
showing.
these houses are gone. I mean, some of these houses we don't even know if they're gone because nobody, even the homeowners, can't get in. They were evacuated, but I was on with my friend Melissa Rivers. She didn't know for 2 days if her house was gone. We were chatting, and I was like, "Well, what do you think?" And then we found out, yep, house is gone.
It is heartbreaking about what has happened, and the bigger question, especially for Pacific Palisades, is a good friend of mine. Her home that she was remodeling, it's gone. Their rental that they were living in is gone, and their children's school is gone. What happens to Pacific Palisades? Because you don't have a community, you don't have stores, you don't have, all the commercial side as well.
It's going to be a long time before it returns because it's gone. It's literally like a city is gone. It's not like, a couple houses or a couple streets. There's no infrastructure. There is nothing left. So the question is, that's not something that we're just waiting 9 months to get permits and we start rebuilding. This is building up an entire community. And the real question is going to be, what's going to happen with the cost of construction? Because the contractor's going to have a field day with this one. I mean, they're going to jack the prices up, obviously. And then what's going to happen with insurance, which was outrageous to begin with?
The premiums are going to go up 30-40% from the research
I pay $100,000 already in insurance a year. Do you know what my insurance is going to be next year? I guarantee it's going to be $400,000.
Josh Flagg, thank you for being here, and we are grateful that you and your family are.
A lot of devastation, but a lot of industries that are closely connected stand to profit extremely largely. Extremely. Let's watch this real quick.
Tom Piker went into the field and interviewed inmate firefighters. This is my favorite clip.
Will you like it? Yeah. It's almost like a respite from being, is it better than being in prison or no?
It's way better because I was in a prison yard. I'm seeing guys get stabbed, get jumped, get beat up. The cops treat us like shit. But here, we get better treatment, right? They talk to us like humans. They talk to us like humans. We got a job. We're underpaid, but we got a job.
Yeah.
You feel me? And then the community comes out and shows us all kinds of love. We never received that growing up. We never received that kind of love, that kind of recognition for anything we've done. So now, doing this kind of stuff and all this love coming, that's life-changing for a lot of guys. That's all they be needing is a little bit of recognition. With this, it's life-changing. And we get opportunities at careers.
While mass media focuses on celebrity houses, people who are independent.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were going to say they have mansions in the mountains to live in, but we have mansions in heaven. That's what I thought you were going to say. $4,000 to rent a month is insane. $4,000 to rent a month is insane. That's a lot of money, but in California, that's like maybe that's like a 3-bedroom home with a backyard. And that's actually a pretty good deal in California. California is just different. It's just a whole different world. It's a whole different reality. It's just, and those numbers are only going to increase, especially when you add, just like they were saying, especially when you add the fact that insurance has to respond. Insurance is a business. Insurance doesn't necessarily care about you. Insurance wants to make a profit. That's why they pay so much money to the underwriters. The underwriters in the insurance companies are some of the highest paid individuals because those individuals are assigned at assessing the risk of your policy. And if your policy is risky, they're going to charge more money because they need to make a profit. They're a for-profit business. So now with all of this, all these fires going on, it's going to cost a lot of money for a single family home to be built in those areas. It's going to cost a lot of money. Number one, insurance premiums are going to go through the roof. They're going to go through the roof. Number two, the contractors, what they're going to charge in order to build, it's going to be magnitudes higher than what it was previously. For single family homes to be built in those areas, it's going to cost a lot of money. The more likely thing that's going to happen is you're probably going to see an influx of multifamily homes. And that's probably what's going to make up the majority of what's going to be rebuilt. And those individuals who are going to be running those operations and running those projects are going to make a lot of money. I don't know, man. I don't know. So they said it was fireworks. That's what they said. They said it was fireworks. They said the firefighters put out the fireworks, but then they said a few days later, those same fires that were put out sparked up again. That mixed with the wind got us into the situation that we're in right now. That's what they said. That's what they said. Do I believe that? Not necessarily. Tracy says, I think this is like Maui all over again. They need their land to set up their 15-minute cities. However, I think the people who are really responsible for these fires will never get caught. That's normally how it plays out. That's normally how it plays out. It's just, for me, from the standpoint of, it's hard for me to imagine that the individuals who are running California are smart enough to plot something in either direction. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to imagine that they're smart enough to put something together behind the scenes. But then at the same time, when you just look at their incompetence, they're pretty much showing you their cards right in front of our face.